I can tell by the sun. Yeah, we'll dance through this until 3:30. So this is Joshua, chapter 1. And we're not going to go through, we're going to continue to do what we've been doing. We're going to kind of skip through, hit some of the high points. Some of the things that we're going to hit are stories I think you're probably familiar with, or at least have heard of, so that'll be kind of fun to actually get the text itself. Because let's be honest, sometimes we heard stories from the Bible as children, and we've never actually seen the text and where it comes from. So I think there's some value to that. So, chapter 1. After Moses, the servant of the Lord, had died, the Lord said to Moses' aide, Joshua, son of Nun, my servant Moses is dead. So prepare to cross the Jordan here with all the people into the land I will give the Israelites. As I promised Moses, I will deliver to you every place where you set foot. Your domain is to be all the land of the Hittites, from the desert and from Lebanon east to the great river Euphrates, and west to the great sea. No one can withstand you while you live. I will be with you as I was with Moses. I will not leave you nor forsake you. Be firm and steadfast, so that you may give this people possession of the land which I swore to their fathers I would give them. Above all, be firm and steadfast, taking care to observe the entire law which my servant Moses enjoined on you. Do not swerve from it either to the right or to the left, that you may succeed wherever you go. Keep this book of the law on your lips, recite it by day and by night, that you may carefully observe all that is written in it. Then you will successfully attain your goal. I command you, be firm and steadfast. Do not fear nor be dismayed, for the Lord your God is with you wherever you go. So Joshua commanded to the officers of the people, go through the camp and instruct the people. Prepare your provisions for 3 days, for now you shall cross the Jordan here, to march in and take possession of the land which the Lord your God is giving to you. And then you have the people of Israel crossing the Jordan. Verse 18 then comes to just an establishment of order within the ranks of all the people, and then we go to chapter 2. Joshua, son of Nun, secretly sent out 2 spies from Shittim, saying, go reconnoiter the land in Jericho. When the 2 reached Jericho, they went into the house of a harlot named Rahab, where they lodged. But a report was brought to the king of Jericho that some Israelites had come there that night to spy out the land. So the king of Jericho sent Rahab the order, put out the visitors who have entered your house, for they have come to spy out the entire land. The woman had taken the 2 men and hidden them. So she said, true, the men you speak of came to me, but I did not know where they came from. At dark, when it was time for the gate to be shut, they left. I do not know where they went. You will have to pursue them immediately to overtake them. Now she had led them to the roof and hidden them among her stalks of flax spread out there. But the pursuers set out along the way to the fords of the Jordan, and once they had left, the gate was shut. Before the spies fell asleep, Rahab came to them on the roof and said, I know that the Lord has given you the land, that a dread of you has come upon us, and that all the inhabitants of the land are overcome with fear of you. For we have heard how the Lord dried up the waters of the Red Sea before you when you came out of Egypt, and how you dealt with Sihon and Og, the 2 kings of the Amorites beyond the Jordan, whom you doomed to destruction. At these reports we are disheartened. Everyone is discouraged because of you, since the Lord your God is God in heaven above and on earth below. Now then, swear to me by the Lord that, since I am showing you kindness, you in turn will show kindness to my family, and give me an unmistakable token that you are to spare my father and mother, brothers and sisters, and all their kin, and save us from death. We pledge our lives for yours, the men answered her. If you do not betray this errand of ours, we will be faithful in showing kindness to you when the Lord gives us the land. Then she let them down through the window with a rope, for she lived in a house built into the city wall. Go up into the hill country, she suggested to them, that your pursuers may not find you. Hide there for 3 days until they return. Then you may proceed on your way." The men answered her, "This is how we will fulfill the oath you made us take. When we come into the land, tie this scarlet cord in the window through which you are letting us down, and gather your father and mother, your brothers and all your family into your house. Should any of them pass outside the door of your house, he will be responsible for his own death. But we shall be guiltless. But we shall be responsible if anyone in the house with you is harmed. If, however, you betray this errand of ours, we shall be quit of the oath you have made us take." "Let it be as you say," she replied, and bade them farewell. When they were gone, she tied the scarlet cord in the window. They went up into the hills, where they stayed 3 days until the pursuers, who had sought them all along the road without finding them, returned. Then the two came back down from the hills, crossed the Jordan to Joshua son of Nun, and reported all that had befallen them. They assured Joshua, "The Lord has delivered all this land into our power. Indeed, all the inhabitants of the land are overcome with fear of us." What do you get from this story? What's the sense of it? They have not, the people as a whole have not yet crossed what? The Jordan. The Jordan is the big border here, okay? So, Jericho is the city in question, right? What have the people of Jericho already heard?
That they were coming.
There's this mass of people that's been slowly, over the years, I mean, picture this, folks. 40 years of slow migration of this mass of people whose God fights their battles for them is coming in your direction. They've heard stories of the Amorites and the Hittites and the others where they've already been. They don't leave anybody live. They go into a place and everything is destruction, right? That's the stories that they've heard. That doesn't make you sleep well at night, does it? Okay? And this is a prime example of especially Old Testament literature, but also New Testament to some extent. God uses, in helping these spies, the least likely person. Where on earth do they stay when they go there? A woman of the night, a harlot. Okay? And there's a lot of good stuff in here. She basically has heard the stories, and what's she trying to do? This is very human. What's she trying to do?
Save herself.
Make a deal with them about what?
Saving your life.
Look, it's not about reporting to the king, come defend the city. It's about, we're toast. So I'm going to make a deal with these guys to at least save my family. So she makes a deal with them. And they say, okay, do this and this. Don't go outside. Stay in the... And mark your house with what?
Scarlet.
Not purple. Scarlet. Have you ever heard of a little thing called the Scarlet Letter?
Yeah.
Have you ever heard of a little thing called the Red Light District?
Yeah.
That color is very significant, not just in this story, but this story has given that scarlet color the symbolism that it holds over the centuries of both Judaism as well as Christianity. Scarlet becomes the color of the harlot, if you will. The scarlet letter, etc. Okay? So, I mean, this is what I love about the Old Testament stuff, is you start to see that's where that comes from. I never knew this is where it comes from. That significance of red meaning, a little questionable lifestyle going on here. Okay? I mean, everything's about to be dished in red because of Valentine's Day, but that's another whole thing. So, you've been to Target, you know what I'm talking about. Okay? So, she's made the deal. And there's a lot of just common sense in here. She says, just go up into the hills for 3 days. They'll give up after 3 days. They're going to search for you, and after 3 days, they'll think you're just long gone. Then you can come down, and that's exactly what they do. They go up, they hide out, The searchers can't find them. They go back to the king to report in the city of Jericho. And then they go back to Joshua and they say, they're scared of us. They're scared of us. They know we're coming. Okay? So that's where it picks up in chapter 3 then. Early the next morning, Joshua moved with all the Israelites from Shittim to the Jordan, where they lodged before crossing over. 3 days later, the officers went through the camp and issued these instructions to the people. When you see the ark of the covenant of the Lord your God, which the Levitical priests will carry, you must also break camp and follow it, that you may know the way to take you, that you may know the way to take. For you have not gone over this road before. But let there be a space of 2,000 cubits between you and the ark. Do not come near to it. Joshua also said to the people, sanctify yourselves, for tomorrow the Lord will perform wonders among you. And he directed the priests to take up the ark of the covenant and go ahead of the people, and they did so. Then the Lord said to Joshua, today I will begin to exalt you in the sight of all Israel, that you may know that I am with you, as I was with Moses. Now command the priests carrying the ark of the covenant to come to a halt in the Jordan when they reach the edge of the waters. So Joshua said to the Israelites, come here and listen to the words of the Lord your God. And he continued, this is how you will know that there is a living God in your midst, who at your approach will dispossess the Canaanites, Hittites, Hivites, Perizzites, Girgashites, and all those other Irish people. The ark of the covenant of the Lord of the whole earth will precede you into the Jordan. Now choose 12 men, one from each of the tribes of Israel. When the soles of the feet of the priests carrying the ark of the Lord of the whole earth, touch the waters of the Jordan, it will cease to flow, for the water flowing down from upstream will halt in a solid bank. What's it sound like? Parting of the Red Sea. It's a miniature parting of the sea, if you will. Only in this case, it's the ark that's the focus. The priests carrying the ark, as soon as their feet hit the water will cease, so to speak. What does that make you? Dry land to cross over on. Okay? Verse 14. The people struck their tents to cross the Jordan. When the priests carrying the ark of the covenant ahead of them, no sooner had these priestly bearers of the ark waded into the water at the edge of the Jordan, which overflows all its banks during the entire season of the harvest, than the waters flowing from the upstream halted, backing up in a solid mass for a very great distance indeed. From Adam, a city in the direction of Zarethan, while these flowing downstream toward the salt sea of the Arabah disappeared entirely. Thus the people crossed over opposite Jericho. While all Israel crossed over on dry ground, the priests carrying the ark of the covenant of the Lord remained motionless on dry ground in the bed of the Jordan until the whole nation had completed the passage. After the entire nation had crossed the Jordan, the Lord said to Joshua, choose 12 men from the people, one from each tribe, and instruct them to take up 12 stones from this spot in the bed of the Jordan where the priests had been standing motionless. Carry them over with you and place them where you are to stay tonight. We've seen this a little bit before. We're going to see it more, something called memorial stones or memorial markers. Okay? You pile up stones, you put markers out to signify to people that will come after you something holy happened here, something special happened here, a miracle happened here. Okay? If you've ever been to a Jewish cemetery, this tradition continues in that when they visit the graves of their loved ones, they put stones on the markers. It's just it's not a fancy thing, it's not a coin, it's not a statue, it's a simple stone. Somebody that loved you was here. And they put a memorial stone on top of the marker that's there. So this is an ancient tradition of marking this spot as special, marking it as holy. So it talks about the memorial stones and so forth. Verse 15, the Lord said to Joshua, command the priests carrying the ark of the commandments to come up from the Jordan. Joshua did so, and when the priests carrying the ark of the covenant of the Lord had come up from the bed of the Jordan, as the soles of their feet regained the dry ground, the waters of the Jordan resumed their course as before, and it overflowed all of its banks. They came up from the Jordan on the 10th day of the first month and camped at Gilgal on the eastern limits of Jericho. Okay. Chapter 5. When all the kings of the Amorites to the west of the Jordan and all the kings of the Canaanites by the sea heard that the Lord had dried up the waters of the Jordan before the Israelites until they crossed over. They were disheartened and lost courage at their approach. On this occasion, the Lord said to Joshua, "Make flint knives and circumcise the Israelite nation for the second time." So Joshua made flint knives and circumcised the Israelites at Gilbeth Harloth. Under these circumstances, of all the people who came out of Egypt, every man of military age had died in the desert during the journey after they left Egypt. Though all the men who came out were circumcised, none of those born in the desert during the journey after the departure of Egypt were circumcised, etc. So it's now catch-up time, basically. Okay? So any Israelite men, any Hebrew men who, for whatever reason, in the wandering of the years, were not circumcised, today's the day. We have to be faithful to the covenant. Okay? So, what's going to happen? Verse 8. Still chapter 5, verse 8. When the rite had been performed, the whole nation remained in camp where they were until they recovered. That was probably more than a few days. Until they recovered. Then the Lord said to Joshua, "Today I have removed the reproach of Egypt from you." Therefore the place is called Gilgal to the present day. Okay? While the Israelites were encamped at Gilgal on the plains of Jericho, they celebrated the Passover on the evening of the 14th of the month. On the day after the Passover, they ate of the produce of the land in the form of unleavened cakes and parched grain. On that same day after the Passover, in which they ate of the produce of the land, the manna ceased. No longer was there manna for the Israelites, who that year ate of the yield of the land of Canaan. So you have two significant things. Number one, they've crossed the Jordan. We've had a miniature Red Sea experience here. They catch all the men up on circumcision, just like we might for baptism or whatever sacrament we have to catch people up on. And then before they enter the land, what do? They celebrate the great feast of Passover. It's very significant. Passover led them out of Egypt, and now Passover is going to lead them in to the new land of the nation, if you will. It's very significant in terms of that. Okay? And the last thing that's significant is no more manna, no more quail. Okay, by this time tomorrow, the text basically says you'll be feeding on the new land. So you don't need that anymore. Okay? So very significant things are happening. It's a very dramatic situation. Verse 13. Kathy, let me know when we run out of time. 10 minutes? Did it again.
3:19.
How do you like that? While Joshua was near Jericho, he raised his eyes and saw one who stood facing him, drawn sword in hand. Joshua went up to him and asked, "Are you one of us or one of our enemies?" He replied, "Neither. I am the captain of the host of the Lord and have just arrived." What? Who is this? Who is it? Come on, you good Catholics, who is this? I'm the captain of the host of the Lord. It's an angel. It's an armed angel there to help them do battle. Joshua sees him, and he goes up. "Are you one of us or one of our enemies?" He replied, "Neither. I am the captain of the host of the Lord. I have just arrived." Then Joshua fell prostrate to the ground in worship and said to him, "What has the Lord to say to his servant?" The captain of the host of the Lord replied to Joshua, "Remove your sandals from your feet, for the place on which you are standing is holy." And Joshua obeyed. Folks, where have we heard those very words before? The call of Moses. Remove the sandals from your feet. Joshua, in a sense, is repeating the role of Moses. Okay? Even in the symbolism of the angel appearing up to him and saying, "This is holy ground, take your sandals off." And Joshua does so. So he's mimicking the actions that Moses had done years ago as he overtakes the leadership. Chapter 6. Now Jericho was in a state of siege because of the presence of the Israelites, so that no one left or entered. And to Joshua the Lord said, I have delivered Jericho and its king into your power. Have all the soldiers circle the city, marching once around it. Do this for 6 days with 7 priests carrying a ram's horn ahead of the ark. On the 7th day, march around the city 7 times and have the priests blow the horns. When they have given a long blast on the ram's horns and you hear that signal, all the people shall shout aloud. The wall of the city itself will collapse and they will be able to make a frontal attack. You've heard this before. The walls of Jericho came tumbling down. Summoning the priest, Joshua son of Nun then ordered them to take up the Ark of the Covenant with seven of the priests carrying ram's horns in front of the Ark of the Lord. You know what a ram's horn is, right? It's that circular, it's a ram's horn. It comes from the male goat, the ram. So you hollow it out, you make it just right, and that becomes your instrument, okay? He ordered the people to proceed in a circle around the city, with the picked troops marching ahead of the Ark of the Lord. At this order, they proceeded with the 7 priests who carried the ram's horns before the Lord, blowing their horns, and the Ark of the Covenant of the Lord following them. In front of the priests with the horns marched the picked troops. The rear guard followed the Ark, and the blowing of the horns was kept up continually as they marched. The people had been commanded by Joshua not to shout or make any noise or outcry until he gave the word. Only then were they to shout. So he had the Ark of the Lord circle the city, going once around it, after which they returned to the camp for the night. Early the next morning, Joshua and the priests take up the Ark of the Lord. The 7 priests bearing the ram's horn marched in front of the Lord, blowing the horns. Ahead of these marched the picked troops, etc., etc. It's going to go on and on and on. Day after day. What is happening here? What is this, my friends? We call it psychological warfare. They're carrying the presence of the Lord in front of them. They're blowing their religious horns. And the people are marching. What are they doing while they're marching? No. They're totally silent. Imagine if you are a soldier on the top of that wall and you're seeing thousands and thousands of people march around. And the only sound you hear are the horns.
Yeah.
No one's making a sound.
It's probably eerie.
Day 1, day 7, a whole week. This goes like, Kathy, you're shaking your head. Why are you shaking your head?
Oh, it's just very, very trying.
It's pretty creepy. It's pretty creepy. It's psychological warfare is what's going on here. They're playing with the minds of the people inside. Verse 15. This is still chapter 6. On the 7th day, beginning at daybreak, they marched around the city 7 times in the same manner. On that day, not only did they march around the city 7 times, the 7th time around, the priests blew the horns, and Joshua said to the people, "Now shout, for the Lord has given you this city and everything in it. It is under the Lord's ban. Only the harlot Rahab and all who were in the house with her are to be spared, because she hid the messengers we sent. But be careful not to take in your greed anything that is under the ban, else you will bring upon the camp of Israel this ban and the misery of it. All silver and gold and the articles of bronze or iron are sacred to the Lord. They shall be put in the treasury of the Lord." So what are they told? Nothing for yourself. It's all it's under the Lord's ban, meaning the Lord's claiming it. Okay, don't be keeping the little jewel that you find. Okay, and he says, don't bring that curse upon us. You do this fight, and you do it well, and you do it honestly. Everything you find comes back to the treasury. Okay? And you thought we were the only ones that had to pay taxes. Verse 20, as the horns blew, the people began to shout. When they heard the signal from the horn, they raised a tremendous shout. The wall collapsed, and the people stormed the city in a frontal attack and took it. They observed the ban by putting to the sword all living creatures in the city, men and women, young and old, as well as oxen, sheep, and asses. Even the animals are slaughtered in this. Joshua directed the 2 men who had spied out the land, "Go into the harlot's house and bring out the woman with all her kin, as you swore to her you would do. The spies entered the house and brought up Rahab with her father, mother, brothers, and all her kin. Her entire family they led forth and placed them outside the camp of Israel. The city itself they burned with all that was in it except the silver, gold, and articles of bronze and iron which were placed in the treasury of the house of the Lord. Because Rahab the harlot had hidden the messengers whom Joshua had sent to reconnoiter Jericho, Joshua spared her with her family and all her kin, who continue in the midst of Israel to this day. On that occasion Joshua imposed the oath. Cursed before the Lord be the man who attempts to rebuild the city Jericho. He shall lose his firstborn when he lays its foundation, and he shall lose his youngest son when he sets up its gates. Thus the Lord was with Joshua, so that his fame spread throughout the land. Any thoughts as we come to the end of our session today? It's creepy. It's a massacre. It is. Yep. So they're not settling here, are they? It's not like the Lord said, take the city, keep the houses. It's a good city. Well, at least it was. Rebuild it. No, they're. I've always found the term razing, R-A-Z-I-N-G, confusing. But they're razing the city. They're leveling the city, and then they're moving on. This is not where they're staying. They're simply moving into the land. And so it continues through other victories and so forth. Yes, Sharon.
I was just wondering, when you said earlier about they're coming to Jericho, they're scared of us, because we're coming. Look what's happening in all these other places. Who's reporting that all that happened in those other places when they were mowing them down and not leaving survivors?
Somebody who got out just before the battle began, apparently. Or somebody who's viewing from a hilltop and then running forward and saying, you should see what I just saw.
But they knew it was coming, why didn't they just leave?
Where do you go? Where does the whole city of people go?
They have the wall.
And you're right, they probably trusted that the wall would be fine. It's protected us before, right? Troy made that same mistake. The city of Troy made that same mistake eventually. Oh, these walls have always protected us. Yeah, but the day will come when the Greeks will sneak in the back way because you've made too many enemies. Okay? I bet that same sense of things will happen to Jerusalem someday too. When they'll say, oh, we have the walls of the city, we have all this, and the prophets will say to them, the walls won't do you any good because you've offended the Lord. And if the Lord isn't with us, it doesn't matter how good the fortifications are. We're still going to be. And that's what happens. Jerusalem is crushed. So yeah, whenever you trust in something physical, the message is, I don't want to do it for you. So, but I agree with you. This is hard for me. This is hard for me to read as a Christian person, for sure. And yet it's part of the tradition. Okay?
Things don't change too much.
No. This is getting way ahead of things, but it does put things in perspective, even in terms of understanding our current world. I don't know if you're familiar with this story, but as a history geek, in the year 70, I don't know, do I have it up there? Yeah. So the story of the Jewish people is going to continue all through here, the birth of Jesus, the first century. The year 70 is when Jerusalem falls and all of the surrounding territory. And one of the last holdouts, people from Jerusalem went up into the hills in a fortress called Masada. Have you ever heard of Masada? M-A-S-A-D-A. It was the last, this was what we would call Custer's last stand. The fortress of Masada. It was up in the hills, it seemed to be safe, it was a good place. And the Romans actually built, they took their time over weeks and weeks, and they built a ramp of dirt all the way up to Masada, and then they stormed it. So the last act of defiance in the year 70 for all the inhabitants of the city, the fortress of Masada, before the Romans could enter, they committed mass suicide. It was the last way for the Jewish people to say to the Romans, we refuse to give ourselves to you. We refuse to be taken by you. This very day, when a woman or a man joins the military in Israel, that is part of their oath. I will protect the nation of Israel, no more Masada. In other words, the reason I'm telling you this is all of this militaristic history is ingrained in them. It's ingrained in them. What happened 2,000 years ago in the year 70 is ingrained in their no more Masada. We will fight to the finish. That's part of their military oath this very day. That's very powerful when you think of it that way. Centuries and centuries of being abused and having to fight for survival, we will fight to the death. No more Masada. So it is difficult for us, but especially for the Jewish mind and heart, this makes sense when it comes to survival. Okay? The other side of that would be, okay, but don't trust in your guns only. You also have to do what? Be faithful to the Lord. Would be part of that. Yes, Martha.
What about the 10 Commandments that are in this thing that they're carrying?
We don't have time for that today.
I mean, they're
No, I get your
taking their
point.
property, they're killing people, they're breaking the commandments right there.
But
And those are big ones.
who are they doing this violence at the command of? God has commanded us to do this. So the 10 Commandments aren't part of this picture. I know, I get it. It's hard for us. It just is. Because we've been steeped from the time we were this tall in love your neighbor as yourself.
Yeah, peace and
Do unto
harmony.
others as, the Prince of Peace, etc. It's a very different take for us. So, I don't want to keep you over. Thank you. Thank you for this violent, wonderful day together. You got a brand new Bible.
No, I've
Oh,
had
have
it.
you had that in the box the whole time?
I brought it so.
Okay. Just grab it.
No, when we had
Stay warm and healthy,
last
folks.
or we had a retreat at the Center for Ministry,
Ah.
the library.